I Will Make You Proud by Where Does She Go? Chapter 4, Draco, June 1990. Draco had finally turned 10, double digits. His parents had thrown him an elaborate party at the manor. It was a good opportunity to impress the other pureblood families, a party for him in name only. Draco didn't get a cake, and no one sang happy birthday to him. But he didn't care. He was just so happy not to be alone. The party gave him the chance to see other people, and most importantly, to see his friends. Blaze, Theo, Pansy, Greg, and Vince were all there with their parents. They used the opportunity to run riot in the manor gardens, pretending to axe each other with sticks. The adults were all busy drinking and talking politics. They didn't care what the children did as long as they couldn't see or hear them. Draco felt the unbridled joy of not being under the intolerable scrutiny of his parents, if only for a few hours. He felt like he were a wild animal, like he had been inadvertently set free from his cage. He screamed. He chased the boys, running until he felt like his legs were going to collapse, his heart pumping hard, blood buzzing in his veins. He was much faster than both Crab and Goyle, but Theo was slightly harder to catch, and he had met his match in Blaze. The joy he felt running through the orchard, the wind whipping his hair and his adrenaline pumping, was like truly breathing for the first time in so long. He felt as though he had been inhaling dust up to now, the particles clogging his throat, suffocating him, and now he could take full, freeing breath in the grips, fresh air. Draco ran so fast that his vision blurred and his chest heaved. He relished the feeling of it, laughing as he ran, even as if breath wheezed in and out of his chest. He kept his eyes on Blaze just up ahead, the thrill of the chase igniting something in him. He wanted to win. He had to win. Although he was faster, Blaze tired before Draco did, and he collapsed into a heap in the grass, laughing and roughhousing as Draco felt a slight mad edge come over him. He didn't even mind when Blaze inadvertently bumped some of his bruises and elbowed him in a rib he thought may have cracked a few months ago. He bucked and twisted, fighting Blaze to be the one on top, the one pointing their wand down at the other. He knew he'd gotten a little too rough though, when he saw it in Blaze's eyes, saw the pain flash there. Draco was ashamed to admit to himself that he liked seeing it, like being the one to cause the pain rather than receive it. He swallowed down the sudden grim satisfaction he felt and allowed Blaze to wrest the stick from his hand and declare Draco the losing party. He reluctantly glamoured of Blaze, ignoring the darkness that had settled low in his belly, and allowed Crab to change the game to hide and seek. They had needed to explain the rules to Draco, seeing as he had never played before, but he ended up being almost too good at it. He used some of his usual hiding spots, waiting in the dark, musty spaces, listening to his own breathing, thrilling at the sound of their voices calling him as he peeked out at them from his vantage point. He had more patience than his friends though, and ended up coming out eventually when Theo got bored and said he'd given up. To end his perfect birthday, Draco even got a small sweet kiss from Pansy. She had pushed him up against the glass door of the greenhouse as they searched for Goyle during the final round of hide and seek, and planted her lips on his briefly and chastely. "Happy birthday, Draco," she had whispered, her hair coming loose from her headband, mud on her face, and something Draco had no idea how to identify shining in her dark eyes. Draco hadn't been touched by anyone gently for so long. He had thought about that kiss for months afterwards, when the party was just a glittering memory amongst the monotony of his day-to-day life. He used the recollection of the soft brush of her lips to comfort him as he lay in bed at night, bruised and sore, hugging his pillow. He would press a fingertip gently to his lips and try to replicate the sensation of human touch that was kind, that didn't hurt, a small gesture that had meant so much. Draco felt like he had been waiting to turn 10 forever. Now, he only had to make it through one more long year until he finally could start at Hogwarts. Why did time have to crawl along so painfully slowly? Now that he was 10, Draco did not cry anymore. His father had finally beaten that out of him. He was so proud of himself when he finally managed to grit his teeth and hold back his screams, no matter how hard he was hit, kicked, punched, or slapped. He often had blood swirling around his mouth, where he bit the inside of his cheeks or tongue to stop himself from making a sound. He had a technique. As soon as he saw the beating coming, the raised fist or drawn back boot, he closed his eyes. He clenched his jaw and made his body go as rigid as he could. He would bite down on the inside of his cheeks and repeat his mantra to himself. I will make you proud. It was the only thing Draco wanted to do. The only thing he knew which could convince his father to stay his end, to stop Lucius from beating him for his failings. He knew that if he didn't cry, kept his face a blank mask, ignored the pain and rose above it, that he would be a true Malfoy, better than everyone else, superior. It was hard, so hard. He still wanted to cry. He thought the urge would be in him forever. The tears seemed constantly poised at the edge of his eyes, fighting to get out. Anytime he thought about how much he hated home, hated his father, hated how hard it was to please him, the tears threatening. But now, he was strong enough to let them come out. The first time he had used his technique, it had stopped his father in his tracks. Lucius had slapped Draco hard across the face for daring to answer back to his mother when she questioned his commitment to his schoolwork. Draco had been standing, fists clenched, in the parlor where he had been summoned to his mother after his lessons. He was trying to tell Narcissa that he was doing his best, that he was working on arithmancy for above his academic years, reading up on complex spells, well beyond what he would need for his first year at Hogwarts. But his governess had told his mother that he had been distracted and fidgety and that he hadn't been concentrating in their lessons that day. He had gotten all hot and sweaty, feeling the sting of betrayal as he fought to defend himself. He had been distracted. He had been fidgeting. He was struggling with pain in his shoulder. The arm he had broken when he was 7 still gave him trouble, and in his lessons that day it had been aching as he held his quill. He had been writing for several hours and had asked for a short break. It wasn't granted, and as he continued, his shoulder had become more painful, a constant dull ache, sharpening to a white-hot sting. He didn't dare ask for another break, but yeah, he thought that he probably had been distracted. Draco had been so intent on explaining this to his mother that he hadn't even seen the slap coming. His father had snuck up on him, but he felt it. A hard thwack connecting with his ear and cheek, whipping his head sideways. He clenched his jaw and brought his face back to center, his eyes locked with his mother's. She had cried out in shock, and now her chin was trembling, her own eyes filling with tears as she avoided Lucius' stare. Draco kept his silver eyes on hers. He set his teeth, didn't allow his head to drop. He heard the ringing in his ears, felt the red handprint spring up on his soft, pale cheek, and he told himself, I will make you proud. He waited, tensed, ready for the next step which would inevitably come. But his father remained stuck still, his hand poised in the air. Narcissa flicked her eyes then, from Draco's to her husband's, just for the briefest second. Lucius didn't look at her. He just looked at the side of Draco's head, waiting for him to start crying. He didn't. The air was thick, the tension palpable. The three of them stood in the grand parlor of the manor, in their expensive robes and designer shoes, and none of them moved. Eventually, Draco heard the swish of his father's departure, his robe swirling behind him as he left, his footstep echoing in the cavernous room. As he relaxed, a whoosh of elf breath leaving his tense body, he couldn't help but allow himself a small grim smile of satisfaction, even as he waited for his earring to come back and tasted the coppery tang of the blood flowing into his mouth from his ripped cheek. His mother looked at him, and he saw how she almost reached out a trembling hand to touch him. She looked strangely devastated, but Draco didn't want it now, didn't want her comfort. He had come to hate Narcissa too, for her lack of action, for the way she accepted his father's treatment of him. She was terrified to say a word against Lucius, protecting her own well-being over his. He was supposed to be the heir, the much-wanted and prayed-for only son. In public, she doted on him, touching his arm and holding his hand, warning him not to touch anything that might hurt him. He almost laughed out loud when she did it now. Laugh at her simpering face when they were out in public. She saw him get hurt every day, here, within the bleak walls of the manor, and she did nothing. Nothing. But Draco played his part as well. He acted like the dutiful son. He allowed his parent to fawn over him at parties and social gatherings. He held his head up high, looked down his nose at people just like he had seen his father do. A perfect carbon copy. Draco was good at hiding his bruises, both physical and mental. Anyone who saw the Malfoys together would think they were a solid family unit. He turned away from his mother now, from her slightly outstretched hand, sneering at her as he left. He didn't need her, didn't need or want her help anymore. He didn't cry now. His father would be proud of him. Things were finally going to change. He knew it. It was only a few weeks after that Lucius began using the Cruciatus curse on him. For short spells to start with, and then longer, leaving Draco in a puddle of his own vomit, urine, and snot convulsing on the floor. The first time, Lucius had sneered down at him as he flicked his wand and scourgified a mess, a look of utter disgust on his face. Draco had looked up, twitching, the agony white hot in his veins, and he realized he'd somehow failed again. After that, Lucius didn't even bother cleaning up. He just left Draco on the floor, face in his own vomit, until he stopped shaking enough to pick himself up off the floor ground and make his way back to his bedroom. He had heard his mother one evening, weakly protesting against this, as she sat at the dinner table with his father. He heard the sharp, sudden rap of his father's cane against her knuckles as her hand lay on the table. Her quiet sobbing, the shocked silence in the room afterwards. How dare she tell him what to do with his son? He hissed. Who the fuck did she think she was? Draco needed toughening up, Lucius spat. The Dark Lord was planning a return. He had heard small whisperers on the grapevine, slight undertones of worry he had sensed at the ministry that led him to believe the time was drawing near. Lucius prided himself on being prepared, on planning for any eventualities. The Dark Lord would need an army, and Draco needed to be his best soldier. Narcissa didn't believe that Voldemort could come back. She didn't believe the rumors, but Lucius would have none of it. It was for Draco's own good, he said. He wasn't going to present the Dark Lord with a weak, pathetic child. He was going to give him his next top general, someone who could be there waiting in the wings for when Voldemort was too weak to carry on, ready to take over. The Malfoys would rule the wizarding world. Lucius was training him. He needed to be trained from now so that he was ready when the Dark Lord called him. He would not let him fail. I can't do that, Draco had thought, shivering, pressed up against the door frame in his pajamas. I can't be what he wants me to be. If that makes him happy, if it makes him proud, I can do it. He made his way shakingly back down to his bedroom, the tremors of the Cruciatus still echoing in his muscle memory, and he climbed into his large four-poster bed, sighing with relief of being able to relax his taut muscle, letting his twitching fingers fall to his side. Draco didn't sleep. He lay and plotted. How could he become what his father wanted? What did he need it to do? The first thing was to read, he decided. Read all the grown-up books in the manor library. No more than anyone else. Even if he didn't show them, he knew it. He needed to know the spells, know the ways he could hurt people if he had to. Then, just like his father, he would need to make friends in high places. Even if he hated his father's friends, hated the slimy, smarmy people that came to the manor, posturing and preening, speaking about blood supremacy and good breeding. He needed to act like he shared those values, like he looked down on everyone else, as though he didn't really just want desperately to have friends, to be liked, to not be so agonizingly lonely. He hated them all, but he was going to be just like them, be the best. Draco vowed he was going to make all of them proud.
You've just listened to I Will Make You Proud by Where Does She Go? A presentation by Bed Under the Sea Studio.